I'd like to say good afternoon to those students who are in the UK and good evening to those students who are in Dubai. This is a repeat of the webinar that was last week, using a conversion from the plain structural model to an architectural model with the different views, an exploded view. I'll walk through in a room usage plan, and I'll put some features into it that we didn't do last week, and hopefully we won't be too repetitive, although I must say that those of you who saw last week's will feel a bit deja vu. I'll open up a standard structural model. I've got some architectural features in this already. I have an atrium, one or two architectural walls on this floor here, but I'm going to ignore that. I'll just leave that. So I'm going to firstly decide where the doors are going to go in this model. Just before I do that, make sure the setup's okay. All of these structural plans in the project browser down here should have the discipline structural. So if I choose one here, I should see beside discipline it should read structural. And that should be true of them all. So if I just simply choose them all, with the exception of site, it should read structural in here. I'm going to close the structural plans, and I'm going to open up the floor plans. Now the floor plans might initially read also structural as a property, and I'm going to change all of those from structural to architectural so that I can see the architectural elements in those views. So now if I go to the ground floor view, I'm just seeing architectural elements. Sorry, I'm not just seeing, I'm also seeing architectural elements as well as the structural elements like walls and things of that kind, structural columns. I'm sure you can see them in there. I don't have any architectural columns, the wraparound columns in yet, but I will do. I'll do that almost first. But the first thing I'm going to do, as I said, is going to put doors in. The 3D view, this 3D view here, should read here beside discipline and its properties. It might default as architectural, just an architectural model, but in there you'll see the architectural elements have disappeared. Those walls in this level here. But I'd like you to change it. If it does say structural, change it please to architectural, and if you apply it you'll see the architectural elements come back in again, and that's those internal walls. The steel structure view is incomplete. I haven't got all these beams in. We're not going to cover braces, I don't think, so we do have the columns in. These columns will have to be adjusted as time goes on, because clearly you don't have a column which is 9 meters tall and 3 meters, 9 by 3, 27 meters long. That's just not going to happen. That would be subdivided into by the various floors. Okay, but we don't have to even concern ourselves with that today at all. But in the fullness of time, these would get altered. You can think of these almost as placeholders for columns. I'm going to go to the ground level and I'm going to put a door in here. Actually, I'll do it in 3D so you can see it. I'm going to put a couple of revolving doors in here, and a couple of different kinds of revolving doors, curtain panel doors in this end, so that I'm thinking that people can walk through this building on the ground floor from one elevation right through to the other, from this east view right through to this west view. I don't intend to have any circulation horizontally between north and south. I'm imagining that these are going to be shops and restaurants and things in this commercial building, and the same down here, and we'll do all that, I'll show all that on this ground floor view. So firstly I'm going to put some doors in. Now I don't have any suitable doors, so I'm going to load some in. If I go to insert and load family, for the moment I'm going to ignore this library, the standard library with various doors and things in it, and I'm going to load in a revolving door that I've got downloaded from the web. I'll show you how to do that. I've got them in this folder here. Additional family files. I've got a revolving door somewhere. It's there. I'll just load that into the project. Okay. And then I'm going to place it. I'll just place it in 3D. Architecture. It's a door. There it's there. I think we only have the one option of size. No, we don't. We can make it various sizes. I'm going to make it quite big then. I'll make it an enormous revolving door because it is a commercial building. I want them to be quite central because these are going to be shops on this side and shops on this side. So I'm going to make sure that these two revolving doors I'm going to put in are reasonably central. Please don't put them in on the substructure wall, the supporting wall down here. Clearly they belong on this wall here, which is going to be at ground level. And I'll put them just next door to each other. Should probably do this in elevation. You can be quite precise with the measurements. As you see, I'm just popping them in almost at random, but reasonably central. Okay, and on this side, I'm going to do something similar, but not with that revolving door. If I try and put that door in here, it simply won't fit. You can see that the revolving door that I'll have to use is going to be a curtain panel door rather than a standard door. If I try and select a wall elsewhere, if I try and select a wall there, if I were you, would put a door up there. I don't know, but technically you could. It would fit in there. I'll just pop it in and hastily delete it because clearly you don't want a door going onto an open roof. Okay, so that will get deleted. But down here I'm going to put in a few revolving doors again in the middle so I can see a kind of horizontal circulation of traffic from this east elevation through here to the west elevation. And I'm going to load family, and I have to go to curtain wall panels here. Although it's a revolving door, because it's going on the curtain wall, it's a curtain wall panel that I'm going to replace. So I select revolving door and I load it in, and then this bit's quite straightforward. I think you'll have seen this before. I'm going to put a couple in. I'll put one in here, select an individual panel there, and just swap it out for that revolving door, which is that one. And then I'll put one on this side as well. Revolving doors usually come in pairs, not necessarily, but usually. Got a couple of revolving doors, and then I'm going to go to the ground floor plan. So I'm going to close the structural plans for the moment. Okay, and then I'm going to make sure I'm just working on floor plans, and I'm selecting the ground floor plan. So double click on it. I've got my doors, I can see them here. I can tidy up the placement at this stage, but I'm quite happy with that. I'll just leave them there. And I just want to make sure, double check, that this discipline says architectural. Okay, so this is an architectural view of this model in floor plans. All the structural views here are going to remain as structural, won't touch them. But for the moment I'm going to close that and concentrate on this architectural view. So I'm on ground right now, and I'm going to put in the architectural columns round these structural columns. So architecture column, make sure I choose the architectural column and not the structural column. I've dealt with all of these, and I've got some loaded in. I'm happy with this one at 600 by 600. I'm going to stick with that one, that's fine. And there's no tool that allows you to select these in a kind of fast way, unlike the structural columns when you can select them by grids. That would be a great wee addition to the armoury, but we don't have that, so we mustn't complain. But maybe Autodesk are listening. So I'm going to place all the architectural columns round the structural columns. So the business end of this column hasn't changed, it's simply getting a wraparound architectural column. And if they disappear on you, we can be assured that they're there. If I check this in 3D, these columns are actually going to be placed. No, maybe not. So I'm going to go back to this ground view and I'm going to change the view template to an architectural plan. And just again double check that this does say architecture. And apply that, and the architectural columns should appear. I don't know if you can see them from where you are, but that's them sitting in there. Now I'm going to do all of these structural columns wrap around with the architectural columns. I'm just going to go through them all one by one. It's the only way, I'm afraid. There's no shortcut. Just got to take your time and make sure that you get them all covered with the architectural column. If it's possible, obviously, to keep them exposed in that so-called industrial look. Some people like that. It's a question of taste, but this way you at least know how to do both. So I'm getting there now. This is my last row. No fast way. It doesn't take that long. It's quite straightforward operation. And that's the architectural columns, and these cover over the structural columns. Now I'm going to put some architectural walls in. All the walls that I'm going to put in this afternoon are going to be architectural. I'm not going to use any structural walls again in this model, because we're making a conversion really from the structural template to include architectural elements like walls and things, so walkthroughs and different kind of views. We'll do an exploded view, an axonometric, and I'll try and do a room usage plan as well. So I'm now going to put in some architectural walls. I'm going to put one right along here, and then I'm going to separate these into individual shops. So that idea that these squares here, 10 by 10, 100 square meters, would be suitable size as shops. So I'm just going to put in architectural wall. I'm going to choose a basic wall, choose some internal wall, some kind of block work. I'll go with this one here. Just double check that this says ground, and I'd like it to go from ground, wall centre line, and I want it to go up just to level 1. So they're going from ground up to level 1. Now I'm going to select here, and I'm going to come all the way right along. There's one straight wall there. And I'm going to do the same down here. Zoom in, and you should see that the columns are wrapping around this wall. I'll show you that in more detail in just 1 second. I'll get this complete first. So the architectural columns have a wraparound feature, and if we have a material assigned to one surface of this wall, the architectural column adopts that material. So if this is covered in a paint of some kind or a wallpaper, then the column 2 will adopt that. It's quite a useful wee feature. I'm going to add in a few more of these architectural walls. I'm going to make some of these shops just single size. I'll make this one a single size shop here. I'm going to make this one a double size shop, so I'm just going to ignore this for the moment. I'm going to put one there, a single wall. Doesn't really matter where I click, because you'll see the column. It's wrapping around quite neatly. I'll make the rest of them all single size, so all of these are going to get walls in. And I've got a wall at the end. I don't know what I'm doing here. Right, there we go. I'll do another one here. Just make sure that they do wrap around. I'll make all of these single shops here. That'll do fine. So my idea here is going to be that this horizontal circulation between the east and west along this central kind of passage here. We haven't dealt with vertical circulation yet. We haven't put stairs in. If we get to that today, it's fine. I'll show you where to go, but clearly they must go in the public area, in this area here. We don't want stairs to finish up in somebody's broom cupboard. So they've got to begin and end in a public area. I'm going to now put some doors in. Now, I've got some doors, I think. No, I don't have enough. I'm going to add in some more. So I'll load in a few family doors. I'll make these, because although they are technically internal doors, this is inside the building clearly. I'm going to make these external doors because they're going to be shops which can be closed. So I'll keep it quite a plain door. There are lots of doors, lots of shops doors, and if you don't like anything from this kind of in-house library, you can load in more from Autodesk Seek or third-party websites like Revit City. Just choose any old door that I can change it at a later date. I'm just going to go with something quite neutral. It's a fire escape door, that won't do. Glass door, that'll do. So architecture door, and I have this door loaded, and it comes in various sizes. I'm going to go for the biggest one here, and I'm simply going to put this door at one side of these shops. That's a small shop, it's going to get a standard door. This is another small shop, it's got a standard door, and this one, and this one. I'm going to make the doors that I put in this big shop here, I'm going to make it a revolving door, similar to the one, well, exactly the same as the one I put on this wall here. So door, this time I'm going to trade the door for the revolving door. I'll just go with maybe a smaller version of it, and I'll stick with this big one. Let's just go for it here. That's a big revolving door. In fact, I'll give it one on each side, so we can get in and out of this shop. It's quite a big shop, seems fair. And I'll do another set of doors on the other side. Not the revolving door, just go back to the door there. I'll put one in here, one in here. It doesn't matter what way they're going to open and close at this stage. I don't in fact think it will matter at all at any stage. But if you want to flip them, you just select a door, and you've got two ways. You'll notice it's got this door is opening in the way with its swing on this right hand side. If you hit the space bar, you can flip them, and again you can make it swing out of the way. So as long as you keep hitting the space bar, you can have it swinging any way you like. I'm just going to have it like that. I don't really care, to be honest, what way it opens. I'm sure there might be some regulation about access to shops and how the doors open, but I certainly don't know what they are, and therefore I'm not going to address that. I'm just going to pop the doors in. It's easy enough to change them at a later date. So that's in 3D. If I look at these, I've got my doors in. I can look right through my building. I can see that there would be horizontal circulation right through the core of this building. Under the atrium, I've got the atrium in there, and they can come out in this east elevation. So there's through traffic. Right, we're going to go to the ground, and I'm going to make a copy of this ground floor view, so I can put a room usage plan in. I'll just right click here and make a duplicate of it. It's copy of ground. I'm going to rename it. I'm going to rename it ground level room usage of plan. What about that? You can call it anything you like. It's in the project browser here. I'm going to use the room tool here, and if it doesn't select the entire area, then clearly I haven't got the boundaries properly selected, and I appear to have none of them properly selected, which is a great start. So I'm going to escape that tool, and I'm just going to have a wee look and see what could be wrong. Now I have a suspicion that these columns aren't meeting the external walls, and therefore there's a gap around here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a room separator. Well, actually I'm just going to extend the wall. I don't suppose if you've got a shop you want to be meeting your neighbours next door. So I'll see if the room tool fits in here. No, not yet. Actually I can use this wee tool. I can see that there's no wall here. This wall isn't working for me. So I'm just going to go to room separator, and I'm just going to wrap this room and a room separation line, and this time it should fill the gap, fill the available space. So that's going to be my first room. I'll just click there. It's got 14, that obviously means I've got 13 other rooms in this project somewhere, different floor. Here, room, highlight the boundaries. Again, this isn't working at all. I don't want it to work in here. This is the big shop, remember? It's going to be a shop. So I'm just going to highlight the boundaries, and it's working on 3 of the 4 sides. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put that wall to there, and I think that the room will fit now. There we go. So you can line these up nicely, the guidelines. Now, I feel I'm going to have to be doing that in all of these rooms all the way around, yeah. So I'm just going to give it the separate shops. I'm going to make sure that that one gets something more than just a room separation line in. That's right, it's a wall, it's separated from its neighbour by the wall. Again, here, all the way to there. And this time the room tag should work, it's fine, in we go. And see how we get on with this one at the end. No, so I highlight the boundaries. So I've got no boundaries around here. So I know that I'm going to have to use the room separator. And now when I use the room tool, it will find the boundaries of it. Okay. Right. Just to anticipate when I try and find this area here, I'm going to make sure that that room reaches there. Might as well do that one at the same time, since I'm nearby. And then at the other end, near the east elevation, select the wall, and again, take it to the wall. And this time, if I try and use the room tag in this central area here, my public area, it should find it okay. Highlight the boundaries, see where the problem is. Problem appears to be along here and here. Right, so I then put in the room separator here. Room separation line, and same at the other end. That's them in. So now if I use the room tool, it will find that area. I'll just put it kind of centrally. Again, room tag. Room tag, not finding it, so I want to find out where the problem is. The problem is around here. So here, it's quite simple. Undo that. Here, this wall, this is a separate shop from this one, so it's the wall going to have to be used. Here, I'm just going to use the room tag, the room separator line. So, I'll just come around here, there, put them in, and now the room tag will fit. It should line up with the one above it. It doesn't appear to be doing that. It's fine. And then here, again, the wall, room, get them nicely lined up. That was a good idea. Wall here, room, wall here. I think it should be working well from here for the rest of them. Wall here. I've used the room tool as opposed to the area tool. It really doesn't matter which one you use. Here we are, we've got problems, so the room, and then I highlight the boundaries. Now I can see that I'm fine on this boundary and on this one. You'll notice the doors have no impact on this whatsoever. Just goes right through the doors, it ignores the doors. This is the room boundary elements here, in orange. I've got a problem along this side and on this side. I'm going to close that, and I'm simply going to come out of the room tool and put a separation line in. One in there, and then one in there. Escape, and now the room tool will work, and I can line it up nicely. So I've got all of these rooms identified, even the central public area is going to be in, and now I'm going to make a room usage legend, a plan. So I go to annotate, and I use this thing here called the colour fill legend, and I'm just going to click in here. I'm going to change that from its default spaces to the room that we used, and I'll run it with department. Department's fine. Yeah, department's okay, that'll work nicely for me. And these are the various room usages that I've got on another floor. I've got admin offices, common public access, I've got a plant room, restaurant, retail. You can either delete or keep all of these. I'm just going to keep them, and I'm going to make the obvious one for the moment is going to be this one here. That's going to be common public access. So if I identify it, and I identify it by the blue cross, alright, and then I'll come down in the properties, and in department, I simply click in here, and I'm going to make this common public access, which is what this is. And then I click in the white space, and it will have coloured it according to the legend here. So that's common public access, which is a public area, showing the horizontal circulation east to west in this building, this ground floor plan. I'm going to make this one here. I think I'll make that as you come into the building on that side. I'm going to make that a restaurant. So in department, I'm going to select restaurant. And you'll see here, I'm going to make these a wee bit bigger in fact. Let me just edit the type. I'll make the swatch of the square thing here. I'm going to make that 20 mil. I'm going to say keep it square. Move that over there a wee bit, and let me just go edit type again. The text is a bit small. I'm going to increase the size of the text. I'm going to make that 10, and the title text 10. Okay, and you can stretch that out if it's squeezing it a bit, just so it's easier to read. So we can see that a bit more obviously there, what's going on. So I'll walk in here, and then this side here, this green colours tell me I've got a restaurant. This different green colour here is telling me that this is the common public access, the public area where you can walk through the building. In my mind I'm thinking this is a good shop, so that's what it's going to be. I come to department again, I'm going to make that shop or retail. This one here, I think, let's call that next door to the shop, let's call that security office. So again, in department, security office, and here, I'm going to make that, what will I make it? I'll make that plant room. Plant room probably wouldn't be on the ground floor on reflection, high rent, so I'm going to make that a shop. Department, shop, retail, apply. In order to show you how, I'm just going to move this around a wee bit, and I'm going to put a new wall in here. And the tag. I'm going to put a wall in. And that room now is smaller. We can find its area in a minute. I'll show you how that works. I'm going to add in a new room here. And I'm going to make these simply male and female toilets on the ground floor. So I select that by its cross as usual, and in department I'm going to select one of the toilets female, and the next door to it, in department again, same routine for all of this really. That'll be toilets male, obviously, male toilets. Alright, so it tells you here what all these colours refer to. That's what the room usage plan does. What can we make this? I'll make it a plant room just because it's yellow and you'll see it. But clearly a plant room isn't going to be on the ground floor. Plant room, if I can find it, that would be good. Plant room. Now let's make this one something that we don't have here. I'll make this, what do we not have? I've got admin offices. Well, I better use admin offices. Firstly, I'll make it admin offices. Right. I'll make this one something else. I'll call it, can't think of anything else, I'm going to call it a library. So in department, I don't use the drop down, I'm simply going to type in library. And you'll see that I get a new item added in here, and that's going to be a library. We've called it a library. Clearly I don't think you would call it a library, and you wouldn't get a library in the ground floor of a shopping centre, I don't think. But that, let me see how this room usage plan works. And here, I'm just going to go back to shops here. This is, after all, kind of in my mind, it's a kind of shopping centre, so this will be retail again. This one here, I think we've got a restaurant. I'm going to put another one in. Restaurant. And this one we can make it, what else can we make it? Well, there's admin offices. I'll put admin offices in again. There's a lot of admin offices in this building, especially on the ground floor. And that's a room usage plan. Alright, that's how it looks. It's quite straightforward. Easy to do. Nice visual thing. It's an important thing, maybe if you're showing a client where their potential rented shop is going to be, or rented plant room, or whatever it is it happens to be. It really doesn't matter much. Hiya. So I'm now going to have a wee look at the 3D view, and I'm not going to do any more on the room usage plan. That's it. Once you've seen it, you've seen them all. But you can see I've got these architectural elements all on display here, and I can look through the building. I'm going to make copies of the first few floors in this building. So I'm going to right click, I'm going to make a duplicate of it. I'm going to make a few of them. So these are all copies of the 3D view, default. And I'll leave it at that for the moment. I'm going to rename this one here 3D Foundations, 3D Foundations or Foundation Plan. It's not in plan view, but it is a plan, so we'll just use the word. The next one I'm going to make that 3D ground, 3D ground floor, ground level, doesn't really matter. This one I'm going to make it 3D first, 3D level 1. And this one here, I'm going to rename it 3D, I'll make it 3D roof plan. There's a long distance between level 1 and the roof in this building, but I'm going to try and miss out a few, just in the interest of brevity. Right, now the 3D foundation plan still looks like the original copy. And the very first thing I've got to do is make sure I get a kind of flattish 3D view. If I click on this 3D default view here, it will take me to whatever it's set at. Now that is quite flat, but sometimes they can be quite steep, set quite sharply. I am just going to set that as the home, and that would be basically too steep for our purposes. So I'm going to flatten this out and right click here, set that as the home, and if I move away from it here, I can just simply get back to it and make sure they're all in the same place. Okay, so that's fine, I'm happy with that. I'm going to orientate that one to the floor plan, the structural foundations down here. Doesn't really matter which one you choose, either raft or pile caps, that's fine. And then I orientate it the way I want to, and then I choose the section box, and I'm going to drag this down so I can see the pile caps. I'm also going to drag it up a wee bit so I can see the raft. And I've got the structural walls in. That's actually quite good at that. Show a wee bit more of the pile caps. You don't have to show the pile caps in their entirety. That's usually dealt with annotation. Equally, you don't have to model them in their entirety. These could go down 20-30 metres, especially if you're in Dubai. You'll find these go down quite a long way. They compact the earth underneath, or sand underneath, they compact the ground underneath, and they'll be suitable for forming a foundation for the piles. The more of them in here, the better. And in a desert structure, I think you'll find you've got an awful lot of these, and not just the every 10 metres the way we have. I'm going to orientate that the way I want, and then with this, the section box, that's what this box is called. With it selected, I'm going to hide it, and then I'm going to apply that hide. That's going to save it. I don't want to save it. I'm going to apply that hide. I've done that, and then I'm going to lock that view in place. So that's the wee key there. Save the orientation and lock the view. So now I can't move away from it. I can't rotate or do anything. It's locked in place. So 3D ground is still in its original state. I'm going to right click on the cube, orientate to view floor plan, and this time I don't need to use the structural plan. I'm coming down here just to use a floor plan ground. I'm happy with that. And then I orientate it. Sorry, I use the home view, and I make sure that it is in fact showing me the 3D ground. It is. There's the doors. Doors are going to be on the ground floor, the external doors. If you put those external doors on an upper floor, that's not going to be a good thing. So that's too much. I don't want to be showing the floor. I want to be able to see into this view here. That's still too much, so keep quite a bit of fine tuning going on here. So that's fine at that. I'm happy with that. Just double check that that's orientated properly. And then with the section box still selected, I hide it. Apply the hide to keep it hidden. And then I lock the view. Okay. So 3D level 1, still in its original state. So I right click on the cube, orientate to view, floor plan, level 1. Then I use the home view on level 1. Level 1 hasn't behaved itself very nicely for me, so I'm going to use the section box. I'm going to bring it up a wee bit. I'm not seeing much of level 1 there. That's actually quite good there. A wee bit more. I don't want to see the floor, so when the floor pops in, I come down. I want to be able to see in to the building. And I've actually seen a wee bit too much underneath. So I'm just going to simply pop this up a wee bit. About there, it's fine. Double check that that's in the home 3D view. It is. Choose the section box, hide that section box, and then apply that hide to keep it hidden, and then finally lock the view. So it's the same kind of routine each time. And I've got a 3D roof plan somewhere. That's it there. Clearly that's not a roof plan, so I'm going to right click, orientate to view floor plan and roof level. Now, clearly I'm not seeing the roof, so I've got to make sure that I can see the roof. After all, there's a roof plan, there's a roof there. I'm fine with that. Don't want to see too much. That's probably all I need. Oops. So, orientate it properly. Choose the section box. This selected, so I'm going to hide it. Same routine. Hide. Apply the hide and lock the view. And then to make the axonometric, I'll go to Sheets. Make a new. Right click on Sheets. I make a new one. Bring in a new one. Not A4. It's one I'm going to use A1. That's the sheet. I'm going to rename this axonometric or exploded view. You and I would call it exploded, but it's got a proper name. Or exploded view. And then I simply drag these views onto the sheet. So I'll start with the foundation, bring it across, just drag it across, near the bottom. And then 3D ground, drag it across, line it up with the line. I don't know if you can see that there's a guideline in there. No, clearly that's going right on top of it, so I need to nudge this up. Nudge it up a wee bit more. Put it a wee bit down, I think that's too much, just somewhere about there. That's fine. 3D level 1, you bring it across, just drop it, and you'll get a guideline. And that's probably just about fine, as it is. Then the 3D roof, I'm going to bring it across. And I'm going to leave it with that rather odd gap in there because there's a whole lot of floors that we should have put in. Remember, this building in fact looks like that. So I've missed out, I'm not going to count them, but you can see I've missed out a good few floors in here. So, the axonometric sheet, I'll leave that gap in there just as kind of lip service to the fact that I've missed out floors in here. These titles come with a line, and I wish I could tell you that I think that's a good idea. It just looks a bit odd to me. I'm going to make them without the line. And they line up kind of in their own terms, independent of these things called viewports. So that's the ground floor. I'll make that with no line either. And this one here, I'm not sure what it is, let's have a look. Level 1, so that's the next one. And that presumably is going to be level 2. No, that's the roof in fact, so that's up there. I think that's, I've got them all. I'm going to select that and make it not have a line. And this one here, I think I've missed this one. No line. Title, no line. And that's it. This looks a wee bit kind of invisible in here. It's hiding in the model, but you can see it is in there. I'll move it down a wee bit in case anybody's very fussy. Alright. That's an axonometric, an exploded view. Okay, quite simple, quite straightforward, quite useful. Updates automatically. If I were to change something, let's say I change some of these doors on the ground floor, this axonometric view updates automatically. So I'm just going to do exactly that. I'm going to go to the ground floor and I'm going to delete that door there, just simply delete it. I'll take out one of these doors here. In fact, I won't take it out, I'll change it for an ordinary door. And I'll delete that. Let's say we can't get into the shop from the shopping centre, from the public area. I know that would be a bit mad, but I'm just letting you see that the axonometric view, the sheet updates automatically. Okay, the door's disappeared. And we've changed the door here. The northern door, this was 2 revolving doors, remember? So it updates automatically. I think that's slightly a wee bit mad, so I'm just going to change it back again. The ground level, I'll put in door here. I'm just going to make them all revolving doors. Put one in there, and then I'm going to select all of these doors, essay them all, and simply swap them all out for revolving doors. Okay, and if I have a wee look at the sheet, like isometric, the exploded view, you can see that all of these have updated. All revolving doors to get into your shops. Quite nice, I think. That makes more sense than not having a door at all. Could be a quiet shop, didn't have a door in it. Okay, so the ground floor usage plan, I'll just have another wee look at that. You'll see it's a fully parametric model, a Revit model, and it doesn't matter that we're showing the room usage legend here with all the different room usages, the doors will have updated in that too. Just as we're passing, I noticed that we don't have the areas in here. Now it might want to be shown a potential renter of a shop here. This is, I think if I remember rightly, a plant room. I'm going to make it something a bit more sensible. That's an admin office. Let's say I want to rent admin offices on the ground floor of a shopping centre, which I frankly think would be a bit mad, but let's say I did. I would want to show somebody that this in fact has an area. I want to show them the area, and the area is here. We know what the area is. In this case, 97.507 square meters. I want the tag to show that, so I'm going to change the tag, not just to name and number, but name number with the metric area. And if you look there, now you can see that I've got the 97 square meters of the room shown. And clearly you can do that with any of them, as long as you make sure you choose the tag and just change it. Name and number with metric area. This one seems to be a bit shorter. I think that's probably where I drew the room separation lines. Yeah. Incidentally, these room separation lines can be moved, and this will update automatically. That's now 93 square meters. You tell me it overlaps the wall and the room separation line. We don't care. I'm just going to move that one as well. Now let you see this update. That's now 97 square meters. So it's live in the sense that they update in a dynamic fashion. I don't want to do any more with that, but you can see possibly the revolving door isn't that appropriate there. I'm just going to swap it, unless you've got a really busy toilet there. I suspect an ordinary door is going to be sufficient to get into the toilet. Okay, so that's the ground floor. And taxonometric. Right. Next, I'm going to do a walkthrough. I'm going to walk through this building. I just want to have a look at the taxonometric just to double check that in fact it's all updated. You can see I've got these two doors all updated there. So, fully parametric and quite easy to use. I think you'll agree. Once you get used to using this software, you'll find you wouldn't dream of going back to traditional CAD. I'm going to do a walkthrough. I'm going to go to the ground and zoom out a wee bit, give myself a bit of space, make that quite small in here. There's a walkthrough tool, lives in the view tab, it's underneath 3D view, walkthrough, and 1750 is roughly eye height. Okay, that's a kind of standard height. Anything between 1.5 meters and maybe 2.5 meters would be fine. I'm going to start over here. I'm going to click from the distance here. I'm just going to keep clicking. These are all keyframes I'm putting in. And I'm going to come through. I'm going to walk through a door. That seems sensible. I'm going to come into this shop here. And out of this other door. Out here. And finish. Now, when I edit the walkthrough, I should see the orange keyframes appear. And these are all the keyframes, these are all the clicks I made. And that's the path. The blue thing is the path of the walkthrough, and the keyframes are where I can edit within that path. So I'm going to make sure that this says 1 here. It defaults in a rather odd way to 300, which is the final frame. But if I type 1 in here, this camera, the opening view, starts at the beginning. I don't like doing them in reverse, so it's better to start here at 1. And the opening keyframe, I want to take in the building. The tiny wee red dot there is like the eyes, the direction of the camera. So we could be walking in one direction and your eyes could be looking in another, just in the same way as a human being might. But I'm just going to, sorry, I don't want to quit editing, I want to keep going. So I move the camera keyframe to keyframe, and I make sure the direction is on the building, and just keep going. I'm happy with that. I'll just keep, I'll try and do as little editing as I can here. I'll move that way a wee bit, so I'm glancing a wee bit and you can see it moving. Now that would be looking at just a tiny bit of the corner, so I'm certainly going to move that towards the building that I'm not just about to enter. And also, I'll change the clipping range a wee bit. There's nothing out there, so I'll bring that in, not doing anything. And then in here, I'm going to just keep a wee glance to the left. I'm just catching a bit of the building here. I'm approaching the building, and now I'm just going to keep it almost in line with the path. I'm just going to keep going. I'm coming in here. I'm going to glance a wee bit to the left while I'm in here. In here, I'll glance a wee bit to the right this time. And you just keep moving the keyframe round. A bit shorter on it, if you remember, every now and again. And just keep going, keyframe by keyframe. I'm not going to look so much out the window here, I'm just going to keep the eyes kind of on the building. So if you were trying to rent space in the building, you can see what a useful tool this would be if you were showing a client. And glance a wee bit that way as I come out of that shop. And then I'll just keep that, that's fine at that. And glance where I'm coming, I think I've missed a door maybe, I'm not really sure, difficult to tell. So I'm coming out the shop, I want to be looking back the way, so I'm going to turn it every time I reach another keyframe. And at this stage, as I look at it, the building is getting bigger each time. And I'm usually there, 2 more to go. Turn it around, look at the building. Now the building's getting smaller in the view each time. Make sure I finish looking at the whole building. Now I click on the white space. I do want to quit editing, so that's a yes. And now in the project browser I've got a new item, walkthrough 1. I open it up, and again I select it by its edge, and again it does this rather odd thing about defaulting to the final frame, so I'll change that to a 1, and that's the opening frame. Not very exciting, but there we are. And I'm going to change this view. This view has the analytical model open, so I'm going to close that. I don't want to see any analytical model categories open here, so let's apply. And the visual style defaults to heading line. I'm going to make this just consistent colours. I'm not going to make it realistic. Realistic is nice, but it just takes forever to finish. I'm just going to quit editing and then make sure that reads 1 and play it, and that is a preview. And that's the building coming into shape here, coming into view, sorry. And we're going to hopefully walk through a door. Maybe not, I'm glancing left, glancing right. Too much glancing going on. The doors clearly aren't visible, I haven't made them visible. I'll fix that. I'm coming out, well, in reverse. So I've got a few changes to make to the view. and I'll show you what they are. I'll let it do its preview, finish it. And I'm going to change that. I want to quit editing, yes, but I've still got it selected by its edge here. And I go into visibility and graphics overrides. I want to be seeing columns. I think I've got ceilings in here, maybe not. I certainly want to be seeing the curtain panels on the outside. I've got doors I want to see. I don't have any furniture from memory. And we don't have any lights in yet. Parking, planting. I haven't got any stairs, so we don't need to worry about railings. That's site. Especially there's stairs. I haven't got them in yet, so I could either check them and we would see them, or not. Topple surface. And I don't think we've got windows, but I'm going to check them anyway. So apply that. And then these are going to be clear. So this time when I go to edit and play, I'll see a bit more. So there's the curtain panel, the curtain walls in here. There's the doors are now visible. The topple surface, the ground, in other words. I'm just going to approach it. Previews can take a wee while. And we're coming through. Too much glancing left and right going on now that you look at it. I'm not sure what this is, but it shows up errors of that kind. But not just a marketing tool, we're going through, that was lucky, going through the door, lots of doors in there. This is the ground floor of a shopping centre, in one door, out the other, kind of in reverse, building getting bigger in the frame, that's fine. Now it's getting smaller in the frame. Alright. And that's the walkthrough. That's the walkthrough previewed at least. Now if you want to actually save this as a separate file, you go behind the big R, the application button, and you go to export. And it's an animation, so down here it's almost hidden on mine. And I'm going to export the walkthrough. And then the frames per second are very high at 15. Generally you'll find anything between 4 and 7 is quite a good frame rate. So I'm just going to go 4, keep it quite slow. And you can again, you get another chance to change your visual style in here. I'm going to stick with consistent colour, that's fine. You can make it realistic, and you can put in a date and time stamp if you want. But I'm going to just go with consistent colours. Make sure this reads 100%, and then OK that. And then browse to where you're going to save it. I'm just going to save this anywhere. I'll save it in this folder called Students Project 20 Walkthrough. Remember its name. And then full frames uncompressed, yeah. You'll get yet another view of all this glancing left and right in the preview. And this number down here is 4%, 5% now. And you would think it's going to go to 100, but it's only going to go to 50. I don't know what that's about. When it reaches 50, the file is written, and we're going to open it up, and I'll show you what it looks like. Once the movie file is written, you can't edit it from Revit, clearly, but you can make as many of these as you like. Export them as separate files, and if you have video editing software, you can knit them together and play about with them. Show transitions maybe between nighttime and daytime. It's entirely up to you. You can start off maybe using consistent colours, the modelling kind of environment, and maybe finish with a more realistic view with trees and something that will soften our elementary landscaping that we have present here. So we're on 12%. It takes its time. It used to be a lot slower than this. Things have moved on, believe it or not. But I'm just going to let it do its thing. I'm just looking at your questions. You'd like a recording of the last webinar. There's a technical problem with the recording of the last webinar, which is why this is seeming a bit repetitive. I'll record this one and I'll make it available. I'll send you the YouTube link or the web server link here, makes no difference. And I'll get that one today, I think. I'll get this one recorded. It is recorded, sorry. So I'll check that it actually works, unlike last week's, and I'll get that uploaded onto the web this afternoon, or certainly by tomorrow, this time tomorrow, and I'll send you the links. So here we are, reaching the building. It seems to be taking a while. Too many glances going on, having a wee look at nothing there. I think I was a bit enthusiastic about the glancing. We're going to go through the door, happily. This is the end of a wall that would have to be edited out. And I'm just looking at the questions as it's doing this. Can we get a list with the areas? The areas are up to you. I can give you a list with the areas. In fact, you'll see them as you see the video. But the areas would vary building to building, and it's kind of up to you what you decide on. There's no prescribed list for the content of the areas. You just make it up as you see fit as the designer of the building. So that's the movie finishing. It's 40%. We've only got, believe it or not, 10% to go. Happily, it's not 60%. And when it finishes, I'll try and open up the movie file itself. You can go wild with this. You can put shadows on and make it look prettier. Wouldn't be hard to make it look prettier, but this is a structural model after all. We've just got some architectural elements incorporated within it. I'm conscious that I'm reaching the end of my 1 hour limit, so I'm trying to make this, I can't make it go quicker, but I'm just trying to make sure that we show the video before we finish. As we show the video of the walkthrough, that'll be the end of the webinar, and I'm hopeful that the software doesn't drop out bang on the hour, because we're reaching its limit. So 49%, so it should finish any second now. 49%, yes. And it's just about to finish. And that should be the file written. Okay, file written. So I'm going to minimize Revit out of the way for a minute. I'm going to browse to where I've got this saved. I think I had it saved in Students. It's there, Project 20 walkthrough. Double click it. It should open up in Windows Media Player on this machine. Well, I have another error message to tell me the display driver is not working. I'm going to close that down again. On your own machines, I think it could be a bit less troublesome. I think that
how's it going? Oh, you're webinar.
and I'm just going to have a go at this. Hopefully you can see that on your screens. It seems to be working a bit. I don't want to make it any larger to make it more visible for you. But it seems to be working. You'll see we go through the building. And you can make it quite fancy. So as soon as this finishes in Dubai, I'm going to end this webinar, and I'll send any feedback on your models to you. You've sent me one. I've had a brief look at it, but not enough. I'll maybe use it if it's as good as the last one you sent. In next week's, when we'll do a bit of scheduling. I'll show you how you can use the software to count and materials takeoff. So that's quite straightforward stuff. It's a useful thing. As you can see, parametric modelling and BIM modelling, but it's one of its more effective tools. Alright, I'm thinking that's the end of it. I'm going to close that down, and I'm going to wish you all a good day. Okay, goodbye.